بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد صلوات.
Thank you, Brother Pervez, for the beautiful recitation of the Holy Quran. Now I'd like to request Brother Taha to recite a poem. Salawat.
عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم من مصابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين وجعلنا وإياكم من الطالبين بثأره مع ولي الإمام المهدي صلوات الله عجل الله فرجه الشريف. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. صل على محمد وآله. First and foremost, as echoing the dear brother's words, conveying condolences to the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt on this, in these days of Muharram. Inshallah, I'll recite a poem in Urdu. Indeed, what we see in these days of Muharram, the youth, the adults, everyone comes out, or everyone mourns, again, the promise of the Lady of Light, where she says that either you come or wherever you hold a majlis, inshallah, I will visit you for sure. Whether it's at home, whether it's at the centers, inshallah, those who have joined us even online, may Allah accept these acts of worship, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے کہ آج تک دل انسانیت دھڑکتا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. And how the Imams have mentioned the sawab for even making someone cry, and have numerous traditions. غم حسین میں آنسو پھر اس کے بعد رام غم حسین میں آنسو پھر اس کے بعد رام خرید لو کہ یہ سودا بہت ہی سستا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. And as we just commemorated the event of Mubahila, مباہلے کی یہ صورت بتا رہی ہے ہمیں مباہلے کی یہ صورت بتا رہی ہے ہمیں کہ پنجتن کے مقابل جو آئے جھوٹا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. Nor the Imam mentioned مثلي لا يبايع مثله. All those as we express, we stand to with Sayyid al-Shuhada. حسینیت کو لہو چاہیے بقا کے لیے، حسینیت کو لہو چاہیے بقا کے لیے، یزیدیت نے پھر سر اٹھایا ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. اسے حسین سے نسبت نہ دو خدا کے لیے، اسے حسین سے نسبت نہ دو خدا کے لیے، جو مصلحت سے غم شہ میں کام لیتا ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے کیا جواز ستم ہے زمین کرب و بلا، ہے کیا جواز ستم ہے زمین کرب و بلا، کہ کئی روز سے مہمان تیرا پیاسا ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. الہی خیر کسی کی نظر نہ لگ جائے، الہی خیر کسی کی نظر نہ لگ جائے، ضعیف باپ کا کڑیل جوان بیٹا ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. جسے حسین نے 18 سال پالا تھا، جسے حسین نے 18 سال پالا تھا، زمین گرم پہ وہ ریاں رگڑتا ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. خدا را اس کو تماچے نہ مارے اے ظالم، خدا را اس کو تماچے نہ مارے اے ظالم، یہ بچی غم کی ستائی ہوئی سکینہ ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. نہ لوٹ چادر زینب، نہ چھین سر سے ردا، نہ لوٹ چادر زینب، نہ چھین سر سے ردا، یہ بنت زہرا ہے ظالم، یہ بنت زہرا ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. کہ آج تک دل انسانیت دھڑکتا ہے. حسین सब तेरी कुर्बानियों का सदका है अला लअनतुल्लाह अला القوم الظالمين سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون صلوا على محمد وآله.
That was a beautiful poem by our dear brother, Brother Taha. Before requesting our respected Shaykh, I would like to thank all our volunteers and anyone who is helping out with any way possible in this month of Muharram. I also would like to thank Shaykh Shafiq Hudda for all the beneficial lectures, and also a very big thanks to respected Brother Taha for all the help that you have been doing for this community. May Allah reward you all. Now I would like to request our respected speaker, Shaykh Shafiq Hudda, to address this Majlis Azza. Salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض، إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقاتليهم وغاصب حقوق حقهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Respected sisters and brothers, my youngsters, my elders, mashallah, tonight we see lots of youngsters. May Allah bless them, may Allah protect them all. Assalamu alaikum jamia wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I just wanted to echo Sayyid Yusuf's comments of appreciation. As you know, I am just keeping the chair warm until inshallah our Shaykh Mujtaba gets the visa the approval. Actually, the visa is already in place, the final approval to come. So I'm just keeping this chair warm, inshallah. So it was not my place. It was not my intention to be here. But I wanted to also appreciate all the volunteers and all of those who have worked hard behind the scenes to put the cloth up. I know that Sayyid Hashmat, Sayyid Habib, Brother Akhal Abu Ali, and their team, and they all worked hard. And then behind the scenes, one of the things that I really appreciated is how your team has been training the youngsters. And Sayyid Taha, I know that you've got a leadership role in that as well, inshallah. It really is of consolation to see them, because even those who have been very shy in the past are now able to at least come onto the mic. And this was an opportunity that you guys are giving them that I wish in my generation we had. And I don't want to blame anybody, I don't want to say anything, but sometimes there are some people, or some perhaps adults, elders, that like to just hold on to the mic, like to just hold on to the chair, like to just hold on, and perhaps it was just inherited to them, and they will do just whatever was traditional, as opposed to giving the youngsters a chance. And no doubt, we will all make mistakes, we will all fall, and inshallah there will be somebody elder to help them up and move to the next step, to the next stage. And yesterday, alhamdulillah, tonight I seem to be having a little more time, inshallah. So I will conclude what I had begun yesterday, and inshallah give a little bit of a presentation that will make sense, hopefully, because as I mentioned yesterday, I had put about 4 or 5 thoughts and theories out in front of you. And I had given and I had begun a little bit of the philosophical argumentations of the adalat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the justice of Allah, as to what happens, what it is. Now, in order for us to, and perhaps one of the things that I should clarify in tonight's discussion that will help us better understand what it is we're trying to achieve, when something happens in this dunya, everybody's mind goes to, why did this happen? And the whole foundation and the educated people will be able to help me as well. MashaAllah, all of you who are high school, university, college graduates and degree holders will be able to help me a lot, inshallah. That there is something known as cause and effect. What we see happening today, whether it is in our lives, whether it is in our families, whether it is in our community, whether it is in our province, or whether it is in our country, or whether it is in our world, it is a result of something that has happened. So the cause is there, the effect is what we see right now. And as we are seeing effect, the natija, in the process also we are making causes for what will happen tomorrow. You see what we're saying? So what we are doing today will cause what will be the effect of that tomorrow. Just like we have now been inherited, we have inherited the causes of yesterday. And when I say yesterday, I don't mean literally yesterday, but the past. So I mentioned that, and the only reason I'm repeating this because I was looking at some of the comments, and unfortunately some of my points were not heard yesterday, and I apologize to the Mu'mineen and to all of you that may Allah bless you, inshallah, for your efforts. Inshallah, there is nothing from your side. It is perhaps my, my own inability to try to convey and what have you. So what I had just mentioned, and forgive me for a little bit of repetition, is that when we look at where we are today, the justice of Allah is an all-encompassing justice. It will not be just something that we can look at from a uni-angle or a unipolar viewpoint. It has to be multipolar, multifaceted. Now let me give you an example, and this will help explain what I'm trying to say today. There is a story that is narrated, even in the Hawza Ilmiya. There was a father-in-law. There was a father-in-law. Now notice I didn't say father. I said father-in-law, and you'll understand why in a moment. A father-in-law was there. One of his damad, one of his sons-in-law, was a farmer. And the other one was a pottery maker. Okay, so of course the father loves his daughters, immensely. The love of the daughter, of course, Allah Ta'ala knows how deep it is, that even Nabi Allah Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam said, Ya Allah, give me a daughter, so that somebody will cry for me when I am gone. Allah's maslat, Allah knows he had 2 sons, Ismail and, only Sayyid is paying attention today, I think. Ismail and, Jazakallah. One salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, Jazakallah khair. In my majlises, I don't think that just because we had a year and a half of online Zoom and I couldn't look at everybody and I couldn't pick on everybody, I'm going to continue that. No. I'm going back to what I was before. Okay? So you may not like me for that. Please accept my apology. Hazrat Ishaq and Hazrat Ismail. You see, Ismail I already told you because that's the easy one. That we had Eid al-Adha and everything. Ishaq is the one that's not so well known. But what we're saying is that Allah Ta'ala's maslat, Allah knows. Now these 2 daughters of this man, his one son-in-law was a farmer, the other one was a clay maker, a pottery maker. So the one son-in-law and the one daughter would come to him, Baba, please pray for lots of rain so that our crops grow, so that we can make our business growing. The next day, the other son comes, the son-in-law comes, and he says, Baba, uncle, father, papa, please pray that it's sunny and dry so that my pottery can dry up and I can sell it and I can make money and my business goes well. Yesterday this dua, today this dua. Now what do you do? What do you do? Okay, so you can see for a moment, Allah Ta'ala will not do what you or I want Him to do, but then that would also mean that then what's the point of making dua? What's the point of hajat? This is why I said that yesterday I promised you, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, I will cause myself and all of us to think, to reflect and to do tadabbur. Because 1 hour in tadabbur is greater than 60 years in ibadah. You know that famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma jazakallah khair. 1 hour spent on reflection, on tadabbur, tafakkur, to think, is greater than 60 years of ibadah. Because you see, ibadah, anybody and everyone can do. Ibadah is very simple. But to reflect on the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to reflect on our interrelationship with Allah ta'ala is very challenging. It's very, very challenging and difficult, no doubt. So now, we are told that, okay, do dua. Ask for your hajat. Every day we are told that make your dua, make your hajat, ask Allah what you want. Ask Rasulullah what your needs are. Ask the Imam what you want. Now somebody might be thinking in the audience that, okay, you just told us that father-in-law will have to make a decision, what should I pray for, rain or sun, sun or rain or sun, right? Now, does that mean that the father-in-law will say, okay, you know what, both of you finish, go out, I'm not going to ask anything? Or he will say that, okay, when the other one son is there, inshallah, I'll pray for rain for you. When the other one is there, I'll pray for sun. There will be a balance in between, because inshallah, there will be enough sun that this man can sell his pottery, and there will be enough rain that this one can sell his pottery. But what we are saying is, Allah Ta'ala tells us to ask, to do sawal. Saloon, to ask to, and Allah Ta'ala says that ask from me, فَإِنِّي قَرِيب. I am close to you. Ask from me, I will accept you. Now, again, I will have to give an example in order to explain the point. Let us say my grandfather has passed away. My grandmother passed away. You come to my house before this COVID situation messed up everybody's, social interactions. Let's say that you came to my house and, I'm upset, I'm crying, and you come and say, Brother Shafiq, is there anything we can do for you? And I will say, yes, please pray that my grandfather comes back to life. You will look at me and say, Brother Shafiq, so, we know you're upset, we know you're emotional, but we can't do that dua. I said, why not? You asked me, can you want to do something for me? I told you what to do for me. Pray for my grandfather to come back. Pray for my grandmother to come back. You'll say that we can't do that. That is a dua, or that is a hajat, that is a request that is beyond our scope. That is beyond our scope. We can pray for his maghfirah. We can pray for him to get a good place in Jannah. We can pray for him to get a place near Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But we cannot pray for him to come back. And then I will tell you that why. Can you not ask Allah? Allah is Inna Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. Allah is all powerful. Allah can do anything. Kun fayakun. Yuhyi wa yumeet wa yumeetu wa yuhyi wa huwa hayyul la yamut. Quran Majid. Yuhyi wa yumeet. He gives life, he causes death. He causes death, he gives life. Allah can do it. Yes, but we cannot have the power to tell Allah, to ask Allah to do this, because now I'm coming to the actual topic that I wanted to start yesterday. And that is what Allah Ta'ala has created in this world called nizam. System. And this is all interconnected with the adala of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the justice of Allah ta'ala. So there's a system in place that we can understand what we are able to do, what we can pray for, and what is beyond our scope and what is beyond our ability, even to pray, for example. We can pray for anything, but we know in our minds that I cannot pray for the dead to come back to life, because that is not something that is in that nizam that Allah has created. Are you with me, inshaAllah? Now we're going to a level which is going to be a little higher than that, inshaAllah, bi'idhnillah. So Allah Ta'ala created a system. Now, if you know that fire burns, you're all with me, right? Fire will burn. What do we do with our kids? What do we do with our children? They're going to go towards the stove. You know, every day, my khanum always asks me, did you check the stove? Did you do this? Did you do that? Even this morning before we were going to the hospital, she was saying, did you make sure you closed, turn off all the stoves, because the older kids were sleeping, and make sure that Hudda na kaza, no fire happens. But what is it? What will happen if there's a fire? The house will burn, the kids will burn, everything will be tamam. Okay, fire burns. Fire burns. You don't want a child to go near the stove, right? Muhammad said they don't let you go near the stove, do they? Right. Because they know if you touch it, and then they have to take you to the doctor, put polysporin and this and that and the other. Fire burns. Everybody knows that except the children. You know why I said that the children don't know this? Hazrat Musa, Nabi Allah alayhi salam, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was told, go to Fir'aun, what did he ask Allah? Quran and Majid. I'm not talking about hadith right now. You'll notice I'm putting in hadith here and there, but I'm trying to talk on the angle of the Quran and Majid. Allah Ta'ala's messenger, Hazrat Musa, Sahib Kitab, Sahib Tawrat, Ulul Azam, he asks Allah that let me have somebody, my brother Harun al-Akhi, let him come with me, please permit him to come with me to go to Fir'aun. Why? Because Hazrat Musa, no prophet is imperfect. Every prophet is perfect. But there was a little bit of a stutter or a lisp or some slight grammatical inability of Hazrat Musa to convey a message. And what was the reason for that? You remember your history, right? When he was baby Musa in the house of Fir'aun, when he was doing the prayer of his gods, and baby Musa just slapped him one, he said, there's something wrong with this baby. There's something wrong with this baby. Remember, 70,000 young children had already been killed by Fir'aun. Yaad hai na? 70,000. Why? Because the magicians, the astrologers had told him, somebody will be born who will overthrow your throne, who will overthrow you, and as a result of that, there will be no more kingdom. So he didn't want anybody to be born who will overthrow him, so he killed 70,000 of the Bani Israel babies, children, baby boys. Musa was saved, again, maslihat of Allah, the reasoning of Allah Ta'ala. He was saved, he was put in by his mother in a basket. There's beautiful, so many things I want to say, but unfortunately it's not related to my topics, so I have to come to that. Baby Musa gets saved, takes him, and basically she wants to bring him up. The wife of Fir'aun wants to bring him up. He is still reluctant, especially when the slap takes place. He was praying for the sake of his gods. The baby gives him a whack. He says, you know what? And the mother, the wife of Pharaoh, she says, he's just a baby, Baba. He's just a baby. A baby. So now, Pharaoh says, I'm going to test this baby. I'm going to put one plate of burning coal, lava, rocks, and burning coal, and one plate of shining, beautiful stones and emeralds. And I'm going to find out, because children love to go towards these sparkling little coal. You've seen it. And I'm sure, I remember you and myself included, I know everybody in our family, our cousins and all that, always used to want to touch fire just to see if it really, it looks more attractive and all that. Yeah, stones are there, they're shiny, they're sparkly, but no. So what happens is, Hazrat Musa, the fitrah that Allah has given him, was giving him to avoid that burning and go towards the precious stones, the emeralds, the jewels. And as he was going towards jewels, Jibreel comes and moves his hand away and says, no, today your job is here. So he takes one of those, puts it in his mouth, slightly burns his tongue, and that had remained with him for all his life. Fire burns, there was no exception. You're with me? So that injury lasted all his life. Now Allah Ta'ala has created a nizam. But then whenever there is a requirement for the nizam to change, only Allah Ta'ala exercises inna Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. No Nabi, no Wali, no Wasi has the authority to change the nizam of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Of course, unless the maslahat of Allah is there. The same fire that burned Nabi Musa alayhi salam, a baby, a prophet, was the same fire that when Hazrat Ibrahim Khalilullah was being flung into a fire, the same fire, Ya nar bardan kuni bardan wa salam ala Ibrahim. The same fire that burned Musa and caused an injury for Hazrat Ibrahim became a garden and did not burn him at all. One salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And you know the wording of the Quran Majid is so beautiful. Allah Ta'ala's infinite wisdom. Ya nar, O fire, bard, cool down. But people at that time would not have understood something that we understand today. Allah Ta'ala says, Salama ala Ibrahim. The wording is as close as I can remember. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. What does this mean? That cool down. The people who live in North America, or the people who live in Scandinavia, or the people who live in Europe, will understand one thing. Every year in Canada, in North America, how many people die in December, January, February? What happens? Even during the COVID it happened. They freeze to death. Yane, bardan, barid. Coolness can also be such cool that you can die because of being too cool. Allah Ta'ala, even though this was in the Arabian Peninsula where the cold does not get that cold, made sure that the fire does not cool so much that Ibrahim would freeze to death instead of burning to death. Wassalamu ala Ibrahim, cooled so much that Ibrahim is safeguarded, not frozen to death, not burnt to death. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the system has been put into place which is called nizam. And that system is what is running the whole. You see, people often ask very interesting questions. And these are questions in the adalat of Allah and the theology of Allah. Can Allah put the universe in an egg? It's a dilemma, it's a question that needs a bit of thought. Because if you're saying Allah is all powerful, then He can do anything. And if you're saying that He can do this or He can't do this, now see, there's different answers to this. And I'm going to give you a simplistic answer. If we say yes, Allah Ta'ala can put the whole universe in an egg, Allah is all powerful. Simple answer, yes, He can do it. But those who become educated will come to a point where you know what is the dimension of an egg, and you know the size of the universe. Now, I'm going to leave a little bit of a dilemma to you. When we had some discussion about animals, and I remember one pesticide fellow came by, and I was talking about a few things, and he says that no, even if you slightly have a very small opening, a mouse or a rat can go through. I said, how can that be? Or if they get caught in one of these traps, what happens? He says, don't you know? I said, what? He said, they don't have any bones. Their bones actually are very, very, minute in a way that they can squeeze through things that you cannot even imagine. So even if the rat or the mouse is this big, it can slip through anything, even a crack. I said, really? Yeah, it can go through that. But okay, but if it's something sealed, then it cannot, because its ability does not let it do that. So you know that certain things have got a certain characteristic. That is the characteristic of the egg, for example. And the universe has its own characteristics and qualities. We cannot even see the end of the universe, so how can we fathom trying to put the universe in an egg when we ourselves, as human beings, as scientists, and as intellectuals, do not even know how far the universe reaches? A man comes to Imam Jafar ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wa salam. Allahumma salli. And he says, Yabna Rasulullah, I want to see Allah. I want to see God. Imam says, look at the sun. He says, I'll go blind. How can I look at the sun? The Imam smiles and says, if you cannot look at the creation of Allah, how can you look at the Creator Himself? If you can't see the creation, and you can't look at the sun, unless you are a past president of the United States and try to look at a solar eclipse or whatever. If you are not able to look at something that Allah has created, which is so powerful, you try to see Allah with these eyes? How limited are these eyes? And so Allah Ta'ala's creation is something that is phenomenally beautiful and needs to be understood in what I had said yesterday, how it needs to be appreciated. The negative and the positive. Whatever is in our thoughts sometimes needs to be corrected and amended. How we perceive things needs to be understood clearly. Allah's justice and Allah's creation and Allah's nizam that He has created is something that has been sustaining the universe for the last millions or maybe even billions of years, and He has put it into place. That's why when people ask, well, that the theory tells us that human beings were here, or animals were here, or dinosaurs were here millions of years ago, but from Adam till now has only been about 40,000 years. Then how can that be? Our answer from Amirul Mu'mineen and Imam Jafar ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, Allahumma salli is very clear. The Quran reminds us that insan thumma anshanahu khalqan akhir fatabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqeen. Allah Ta'ala created the human being in the end. Thumma anshanahu khalqan akhir fatabarakallahu ahsanul khaliqeen. Allah is the best of creators. He created mankind. We were the last ones. Everything else was before us. It was already there. So don't be surprised if a fossil or a dinosaur bone or this animal or this reptile or this thing is a 1.5 million years old, and we've only been around for 40,000 years. And then Imam Ali also comes and corrects something in people's minds. He says, Ya Ali, who was before Adam? Imam says, Adam. He says, who was before that Adam? He says, Adam. He says, 70 Adams came before your Adam. Your Adam is the Akhir al-Adam. Yours is the last Adam. Now the day of Qiyamah will come. They already went through this. In school, I remember reading a novel. I've been trying to find the title of it, and if you can help me, I would really appreciate it, Dr. Saab. It was telling us about how this group of primitive people were basically just exploring. And it was based in what is presently New York City, but there was an apocalypse and everything had been destroyed. And they find this thing sticking out of the ground. And they start digging, and they find that this is the Statue of Liberty that has now been completely covered. There was some apocalypse, some war, some major battle. And basically the whole world had restarted, and they were all primitive, basically barely any technology or any advancement. And they find this that this has been buried for thousands of years. Basically, the author was saying that there has been something that has gone all through this cycle, and they are saying this, not a Muslim author, not a Muslim writer, because we studied this in public school. And so there's a lot of things that are hidden and that we may not understand. Einstein was once asked, and one of my teachers showed me the quotation. Einstein was asked that you've created this, you've separated the atoms, these neutrons and electrons, and you've done all this, you've created the atomic bomb. What weapons do you see in World War III? What weapons? He says, I can't tell you, I don't know. Because now it'll go to a whole different level. But I can't tell you what will be used in World War III, but I'll tell you what will be used in World War IV. I don't know what will be World War III, but I'll tell you what will be in World War IV. So the question is saying, what? What do you mean? He says in World War IV, we'll be using spears and stones and rocks. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A lot of our youngsters ask us, Brother Shafiq, you're telling us when Imam Sahib al-Amri wal-Akhiru zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala dhuhuru will come. What will he have? What weapon? He will have the Zulfiqar of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He will have the Asa of Musa. He will have the ring of Sulaiman. But Brother Shafiq, it doesn't work. Zulfiqar, how will it fight against these tankers? How will it fight against these airplanes? How will it fight against atomic weapons? How will it fight against all these new weapons that we've got? Cluster bombs and atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs and nuclear bombs and atomic bombs. And I tell tell them, I said, do you realize what the philosophers have been saying? The power of Zulfikar is such that if it is there on the battlefield, it will cause victory. The asa of Musa is such, if it goes into the water, it will split the water. The nizam of Allah has been created, but there will be the exception to the nizam of Allah whenever inna Allah ala kulli shayin qadir requires it to be done. Salawat ala Muhammad. If today, I won't even talk about the miracles, I'll talk about present day science and technology. A few years ago, recently, just in our hosh, in our lifetime, we saw that these drones, just in the northeastern part of Mashhad, some of our non-friendly nations, superpowers, sent a drone into this northwestern part of Mashhad, northeastern part of Iran, and to try and, spy on them. And through the use of computers, they were able to bring that drone down just with the computers, with a few, programming, mechanisms, programming, this mechanic or this electronic way, bringing the drone down. Not a single shot was fired, and the drone was brought down completely intact. And this showed us that today, sitting here, you can cause an airplane to come down, you can cause a drone to come down, you can cause this to happen, and your weapon, this computer, is more powerful than that drone. Then why is it a surprise to say that the Zulfikar of Ali ibn Abi Talib will create justice throughout the world, inshallah? It's not a surprise. Inna Allah ala kulli shayin qadir. But that is only when it's needed to be used. This is what I wanted to come back to. So when we live in this world, I mentioned yesterday, and I said I won't give you the answer, but today I will give you some answers. You have had the sabr to come today, and inshallah you've taken the effort to come. May Allah bless all of you, inshallah. Your near ones and your dear ones, those who are watching us online, virtually as well as physically and practically, inshallah. You'll get the same thawab, inshallah, no doubt. Your homes have become the Husainiyas, your homes have become the Imam Bargahs, as well as, inshallah, this Imam Bargah. Yes, we always like to see the Mu'mineen, inshallah. That is, of course, something that my own personal preference is. But inshallah, whatever we can do, we will try. Why does it happen? Why do these things happen? And I had mentioned a specific point yesterday. People are hungry. And why is that hunger there? People are suffering tyranny, oppression, dictatorships. Why is that happening? Amir al-Mu'mineen gave a formula. Mawla gave us a formula. Somebody asked the Imam that, Allah Ta'ala, why did Allah Ta'ala create hungry people? Why did Allah Ta'ala create hunger? The Imam immediately responded with one statement that is applicable till at that time, it's applicable today, and it will be applicable to the day of Qiyamah. Imam says, if you see somebody hungry, understand that somebody else has taken his food. If you see somebody hungry, don't blame Allah Ta'ala. The easy option is to blame Allah for everything. But if you see somebody hungry, Imam says somebody has taken his food. I was looking at one of the Ramadan iftars in one of the Arabian countries, a Ramadan of 2019. And they told me that this is something that happens every time. There was a meal that one of these Khalifas had kept. I don't want to name the country, I don't want to name the Khalifa right now, but you can look it up online and you can see it. That they had kept, X number of goats or sheep or lambs completely whole, taken, cooked well, really barbecued nicely. There was 150 guests. How many? 150. Sada Panjah, 150. 150 people. There was enough food there for 600 people. After that, the servants came and ate. When the Khalifas and their entourage and the rich people, the big shots and all of them were finished, 150 of them, then the 30 or 40 servants, they came and ate. And even the whatever was left over, even the sweepers and all that were given bitings here and there. Almost 200 people's food was thrown into the garbage. Alhamdulillah, we say that thank God for green bins here, right? Our environmentalists will appreciate that. Green bins we have, but even then, my sisters, my brothers, please, don't do asraf. 200 people on one iftar night. I'm not talking about 30 nights. This was on one iftar night. In one kingdom, in one city, pardon me, not even one kingdom. In one city, in one dastarkhan, one dinner table. In one place, in one of those 30 nights, in one Mahi Ramadan, how many other Ramadans will have gone? How many other iftars would have gone? How many other cities would have done this? And that asraf, who is taking the responsibility for that? And then we have the audacity to blame Allah for creating hunger. I should be ashamed of myself. I'm blaming Allah Ta'ala for something that the human beings have done. Where is our haya? Where is our shame? Where is our self-dignity? Where is our ghairah? Not one person spoke and says that there's only 150 of us and you've got food for 600 plus. Scared, aren't we? And when I talk about asraf, I want us to be practical as well, inshallah. Even if you leave this, it is asraf. If this gets thrown, it's also asraf. We're not just talking about those big shots. We're talking about Brother Shafiq as well. If I don't finish my water, take it home. Finish it at home, inshallah. Don't let it go to waste. Don't let the foods that we have go to waste. Don't fill up your plate so much that you can't finish it and half of it or a quarter of it goes into the garbage. No. Don't think that their sin is any greater or less than my sin for doing asraf. Asraf is asraf. Inna Allah la yuhibbul musrifun. The Quran says Allah does not love those who do asraf. Allah didn't say Allah doesn't love those who do asraf kabira or sagira. No, asraf is asraf is asraf. Wastage is wastage is wastage. You leave the tap running while you're brushing your teeth. You leave the tap running while you go and run a few errands and come back. You leave the lights on unnecessarily. It's all inclusive. It's all included. Don't think it's different. So the Imam laid down that philosophy, that policy, that think about what you're doing. Make sure Allah Ta'ala has created enough food. They talk about population control. They talk about population control and we need to limit the population of the world. When I hear discussion like this is tantamount to accusing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of lack of planning, lack of project management. Astaghfirullah Rabbi. Huh? Because if population control, me as a human being, I'm thinking that there's too much population and we should do population control, I am indirectly blaming Allah or telling Allah that, Ya Allah, you didn't plan this world very well. You should have created a bigger dunya. That's why now we have to go to Mars and the moon and we're talking about inhabiting the moon and Mars. Allahu Akbar. The same mess we created here, we will create on Mars. Because we are inside. The same mess we created here, we will create on the moon. If, Khuda na khasta, we ever have, inhabitants, civilization, population on the moon. We'll do the same thing. We don't learn. You see, that's why I keep coming back to what I had started out saying yesterday. We need to see history. We need to see what pitfalls the Pharaohs and the Shaddads and the Namruds and the Abu Sufyan and Abu Jahl went through. And to avoid those pitfalls, we need to have a clear policy. And I mentioned yesterday that the Yahud had developed Khaybar in order to help the Mawla of the time or the Messiah or the Nabi or Rasul of the time. They turned against him. And remember one thing, the hadith reminds us, warns us, history tells us repeatedly that the same people who claim to be wanting to see the Mawla, the Imam, the Rasul to come back will be the same people who will not be able to digest what the Mawla is going to tell us. We will be the same ones who will oppose the Mawla. Why? Because we don't understand. We have our mindset. And that mindset needs to be amended. The mindset needs to conform to what Allah Ta'ala wants us. When Imam comes, you think we can tell the Imam, Mawla, you know what, I really need to drink this drink. How about changing it? How about making it, I'm your follower, right? I'm your follower. And that's why when one of the punishers in the time of, Amir al-Mu'mineen, when Imam Ali became the Khalifa-i-Zahiri, the open Khalifa, somebody had committed a crime and he was about to have his finger chopped. And as the executioner was about to go there, the man looks at Imam Ali and says, Ana Shi'atuka, I am your Shia, Ya Ali. The executioner froze. He was about to chop the finger because it was agreed, it was a case that was the executioner stopped, he froze. And he's looking at Imam Ali. Imam Ali says, carry on with your duty, why did you stop? He said, didn't you hear what he just said? Allahu Akbar. Didn't you hear what he just said, Ya Ali? He says he is your follower. Imam says then our followers should not have done this act of greed, this act of sin against disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nobody can claim to be a Shia of Ali and oppose the verdicts of Ali ibn Abi Talib. We claim something. When the Imam comes, I just foreshadowed this. When the Imam comes, what, do you think the Imam will give us special treatment just because we claim to be his Shia? Mawla, hum to aapke manne wale hai na. We are yours. We'll be exempt from this. I don't have to wake up at 5 o'clock for Fajr Salah, do I really? I can still sell this haram, can't I? I can still, commit these sins that I'm committing. I'm your friend, I'm your follower. Because of me, you are the Imam, huh? This is what we think. Mawla does not tolerate that. Mawla is there, the Imam, the Rasul are there for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever the decree of Allah is, this is not a political leadership. This is not a political, popularity contest. That I want to get as many votes as I can. I'll do anything for you, no problem. You want to miss your namaz? No problem. Namaz is forgiven for you. You want to sell alcohol? No problem, it's okay. You want to have pork burgers and have pork ham and that? No problem. You're my friend, right? You're my Shia. And this is not a political leadership. This is the leadership of ilahiyat. This is the leadership min janibillah, from the authority of Allah. There is no compromise in haram and halal. There is no compromise in what is the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Kul ya ayyuhal kafirun, la a'budu ma ta'budun, wa la antum a'abiduna ma a'bud, wa la ana a'abidum ma a'abadtum, wa la antum a'abiduna ma a'bud. Lakum dinukum walidin. Compromise when it comes to the usul. Compromise when it comes to the decrees of Allah Ta'ala? No, absolutely not. Whatever the decree of Allah is, that is what the Imam and the Prophet will implement. Whatever is the haram of Allah, that is what the Imam and the Prophet will forbid us from. Simple formula. So don't think that we can get favoritism from the Imam just because we claim to be the Shia. When the executioner was told, the Imam then told him, why did you hesitate? The man replies, this executioner replies, Mawla, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, in the past Khilafats, whenever somebody says that I am a lover of the Khalifa, there was no punishment given to them. Imam took a totally different view. He says, my authority is not a political popularity contest, it is the responsibility from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If those previous Khalifas did it, that is their accountability to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ali cannot do that. In fact, Ali was offered so many times different things. And he says, I swear by Allah, if you were to give me all the treasures of the dunya, all the treasures of the heavens, to steal one grain of rice from an ant, I swear by Allah, Ali would not do that. How many of, I'm not talking about you, please forgive me. I'm talking about myself. If I had a choice like that, how would I take it? I would say, yes, please give me everything. Right? I would take it. That's why as soon as Rasulullah was buried and Saqifa had taken place, and a certain individual elder was selected. It wasn't an election, it was a selection. And then none other than Mr. Abu Sufyan comes to Imam Ali and says, Ya Ali, they've taken your haqq. I've got 1,000 soldiers ready. You tell us, we'll go and attack him. We'll take the Khilafah back. This was such an opportunity. This is why I said reflect. Tadabbur. What would we have done if my right was taken and somebody who was a powerful man came to me with his sword and says, 1,000 people are ready, Brother Shafiq, let's go and fight. We'll take it over. How many of us would have said, yeah, it's a good idea, let's go, Bismillah, Bismillah. It's for the sake of Allah, right? We justify in our hearts and in our minds, I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. I will do it for the sake of Allah. Ya Allah, if I win this $5 million lottery, I promise that center will be built in 6 months. Huh? We justify things. We try to fool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah. No, in actuality, we are fooling ourselves. I know I've taken a lot of your time and you have done sabr and you have been patient. For every minute that you have been listening to me, Allah will give you the ajr. Hazrat Fatima Zahra will give you a reward, inshallah, because it's the majlis for her, Hussein. The only reason why I have taken extra time is because I need to wrap up what I had begun yesterday. And inshallah, bi'idhnillah, make sure that there's nothing that might have been left unattended, because I will be accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the accountability on my part is my selfish reason for, inshallah, just finishing the topic, inshallah. Please bear with me for a few more minutes, and that's it. I will be done, inshallah. So when we look at reflection, would I have not taken advantage of that situation? Would I have not said, yes, Abu Sufyan, let's go? Imam Ali's response was, oh Abu Sufyan, since when do you have the love of Islam? Since when do you love Islam? Because Imam knew that that intention, the foundation of that intention was wrong. This is not a this is not a popularity contest. The Imam sees what is needed for the time. You know, that was the famous example that Hazrat Ali alayhi salam was brought back with a dilemma. And in the book that has been compiled, Selected Judgments of Amir al-Mu'mineen, it is narrated, two women were contesting that this is my baby. The other one said, this is my baby. And Imam Ali asked them one time, two times, three times, none of them. They both said, this is my baby, this is my. Imam Ali tells Kambar, bring my sword. Both ladies are what? He said, Kambar, split the baby in half, give one half to this lady. Sorry. Give the other half to the other lady. The problem is solved. One of them said, Bismillah. The other one says, Ya Ali, it's not my baby. It's her baby. Please, let her go. It's not my baby. Take it. Let her have it. It's okay. Imam Ali says, this is the hakiki mother. This is the real mother. Because the other one was ready to split it half. The other mother, who was the asli mother, the one who was the actual mother, said that no, even if she has it, at least my child is alive. At least my child will survive. Doesn't matter if I have him or not have him. That is the mother. I will sacrifice it. That is the actual person who has the hamdardi, who has the love for that child. Amirul Mu'mineen was faced with the same dilemma. Islam was being threatened. Islam was the baby. Islam was about to be cut in half this way and half this way. Imam Ali says to Abu Sufyan, take your offer and get out of here. I don't want it, because whether that khilafat comes to me or doesn't come to me, I want Islam to be saved. Islam will be saved. The same way that mother, the real mother, wanted the child to be saved. You see how the world needs to be addressed. Then we come just two generations later, Amirul Mu'mineen's time. He was faced with this dilemma. Abu Abdullah alayhi salam is also faced with the same dilemma. A matter of giving bayat to Yazid, and the problem is solved, Baba. Mawla, Abu Abdullah, Allah knows your intention. Allah knows what's in your heart. Just do bayat. Just do bayat to Yazid. Mawla, because you do bayat, you will not be hungry and thirsty on the plains of Karbala. You will not have to leave Medina, Mawla. If you just do bayat, taqayyah, people say taqayyah should be done. Hide your iman, hide your faith, and just do it. Your daughters will not be without hijab. Your family will not be imprisoned and tortured in the most, Allahu Akbar, the most torturous of ways. But Imam says that there is a place and time for everything. The place and time to do taqayyah, to do this bayat, is not anymore. We tried to compromise, as my brother did with the treaty. We exposed Muawiyah, because remember I mentioned one point yesterday that I wanted to close with today's majlis, inshallah. I mentioned yesterday that had Allah not ordered the malaika and the creation to do sajda to Adam, Iblis would not have been exposed. Azazil would not have been exposed. Everybody has their own test. Everybody has their own imtihan. When Allah Ta'ala calls for the reality to come out, for the test, then the reality comes out. My asliyat comes out when there is a test. In English they say, when push comes to shove. When you're just pushing me, I'm okay. But when you shove me, when the real test comes, then you'll see who I really am. And this is the point I wanted. Iblis was, Azazil was fooling everybody. Everybody was fooled. Muawiyah, people were fooled by him. Till today, I have read books, I have seen books, I have read books that the author wrote, Amirul Mu'mineen, Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan. When I read this, my blood boils. I want to rip that page. How many pages will I rip? Amirul Mu'mineen, Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan. I feel shamed on the mimbar to say this. People from all over the world are watching and listening, and others have quoted this and read this. It's a shame for me. This is why my Mawla used to say, my Imam used to say, Imam al-Muttaqin used to say, that high zamana, what era? That my name and Muawiyah's name is taken in the same sentence? My name and Muawiyah's name in the same sentence? But Muawiyah was a good fooler. He fooled people. He was a deceiver. He was a treacherous individual. He was able to fool people even till today. 1400 साल पहले की बात हो रही है. That there was no internet, no this, no that, no telecommunication. Even today people are fooled by him, by Muawiyah. Till today, you read some, there's one author, Karen Armstrong, whom I respect. Her writings have been really good. Phenomenal writings. But the way she respects Muawiyah, because she's been fooled as well. Yes, she gives respect to Mawla as well. But you see, we can't be on two sides of the equation. Abu Huraira used to say, when people used to see him, that at your dinner you are having with Muawiyah, and your namaz you're reciting, your salat you're reciting with Ali. He says the beauty of dinner is over there with Muawiyah, and the beauty of salah is with Ali. You can't be on both sides of the equation. When Mawla comes, when Imam returns, either you are with Dajjal or you're with Mawla. You can't be in between. You can't have dinner with Dajjal and namaz with Mawla. It will not be possible, practical, or even allowed. Imam was faced with the same dilemma. But the Imam's statement was, Mithli, somebody like me, la yub'ath mithlu. Somebody like me cannot do bay'at to somebody like him. The Imam made sure that this was not about personalities. This was not Hussein opposing Yazid. This was Husayniyat, Muhammadiyah, Alawiyah, Hasaniyah against Jahaliyah, Lahabiyah, Sufyaniyah, Muawiyah, Yazidiyat. If you want me to explain it in one more second, this was Ibrahim against Namrud. This was Musa against Fir'aun. This was Shaddad. This was the epic battle. You want me to prove it? I'll prove it. Every Thursday, what do you recite? Assalamu alayka ya waritha Adama sifwatillah. Assalamu alayka ya waritha Nuhin Nabiyullah. Assalamu alayka ya waritha Ibrahim Khalilullah. If Imam Hussein had given bayat, Nuh is giving bayat. Ibrahim is giving bayat to Yazid. Musa and Isa are giving bayat to Yazid. Imam knows that the responsibility on his shoulders is not just that of Hussein, but rather the 124,000 nabuwats Imam Hussein's stand is resting upon. And it was not only those nabuwats, it was also the imamat of Ali, the imamat of Hassan, and the imamat of every imam from Zainul Abidin to Imam al-Hujjah. That is why every other imam except Imam Sahibul Amr was killed by the successive khulafa, were killed by the successive people after the imam, but not one of them demanded bayat from any imam. Why? Because Mawla Abu Abdullah showed them that your bayat ask, your demand of bayat will be futile, because no imam can give bayat to somebody of their khulafa status. The imam has bid farewell to Rosa Rasul. He has bid farewell to Hazrat Fatima Zahra's qabr. As he is departing, he comes to his grandmother Salma and he tells her, Nani, my dear grandmother, Hussein ja rahe hai. Hazrat Salma ne kaha, Hussein kahan ja rahe ho? Nana ne kaha tha ki jab Hussein Madine se chal base, wapas lौट ke nahi aayenge. Oh Hussein, your grandfather Rasulullah had said that when you leave, you will never return. Imam says, Salma, yes, that is... That is true, my nanny, my grandmother. I will leave and I will never return. My Salma goes to say, what can I say or do to keep you? Imam says, whatever I had promised to Rasulullah, to my grandfather, I have to fulfill. And then he tells his grandmother, Nani Jan, dekhne chahte ho main kahan ja raha ho? Do you want to see where I am going? Nani, the grandmother replies, Hussein, my dear, you show me what you want to show me. Imam takes his two fingers. Oh grandmother, look between. Jab do ungliyon ke darmiyan Nani Jan dekh rahe hain, to cheekh mari, Hussein mujhe kya dikha rahe ho? What are you showing me? Imam says, she says, I see bodies laying all over the plains of this desert. Imam says, look carefully. On one side you will see my companions Habib and Muslim ibn Usaja. You will see Zuhair Kain. Oh my grandmother, look in another place. You will see your beloved Ali Akbar. Hum shikle payambar. Oh Nani, oh my grandmother, do you see a small cupboard that I have made? That is where Ali Asghar. नानी जान, नानी की आंखों से आंसू जारी है. हुसैन मुझे क्या दिखा रहे हो? मौला ने कहा करबला के मैदान है और वो जगह देखो, वो जगह ही जगह है जहाँ आपके लाल हुसैन मारे जाएंगे, जिस जगह पे सकीना और सुगरा यतीम हो जाएंगे. Now my grandmother, look at this one place. You will see a body that has got injury after injury. That is where your beloved Hussein will be martyred on the plains of Karbala. سيعلم الذين ذهب أي منقلب ينقلبون Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Oh Allah, accept this ibadat from us, accept our deeds, our amal. Ya Allah, we ask Hazrat Fatima Zahra to accept our tears and our participation in this majlis. Forgive our sins, Ya Allah, bihaqqi hadha shahr al-Muharram. Ya Allah, please let us be able to act on the teachings of the Quran and Majid and the Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, those who are ill, grant them shifa kamila from their illnesses. Those who are ill in any form, physical illness, mental illness, whatever, Ya Allah, grant them shifa kamila, whether they are here or anywhere else in the world, Ya Allah. Protect our ulama, our maraja, rahbar, wali, faqih, all our maraja, mujtahideen who are serving. Well, Imam is in occultation, grant them a long and healthy life in the service of Islam and the Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, we ask, we beg you to return our Mawla Imam al-Hujjah back to us. Let us be amongst the Ashab and the Ansar of the Imam. And let us have such Iman and Taqwa that we will stay with the Imam till the end of our lives. Rabbana taqabbal minna, innaka tas-sami'ul alim, Matam Hussein.
Hussein, Ya 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 Hussein. Salam nana ke roze, salam ma ke mazar. Salam nana ke roze, salam ma ke mazar. Salam nana ke roze, salam ma ke mazar. Salam nana ke roze, salam ma ke. मैं तेरा दीन बचाऊंगा ए मेरे नाना, मैं अपना खून बहाऊंगा ए मेरे नाना. हुसैन जाता है मरने, حسین جاتا ہے مرنے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار میری شریک سفر بن کے ساتھ چل اماں سفر پہ جاتا ہوں کپڑے میرے بدل اماں لباس خلد سجا دے لباس خلد سجا دے بدن پہ پھر ایک بار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار دعا کرو کوئی سر بے ردا نہ ہو اماں نماز شوق شہادت قضا نہ ہو اماں نہ آئے میرے چمن پہ نہ آئے میرے چپن پہ ستم کی گرد و غبار سلام نام روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے ماں کے مزار دیا جلانے کو نانا تمہارے روزے پر ضرور آئے گی صغرا ہر ایک شام و سحر خدا کرے رہے روشن خدا کرے رہے روشن سدا تمہارا مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار تمہارے جیسا ہے نانا یہ میرا لال اکبر دعا کرو نہ لگے اس کو آسماں کی نظر لٹے نہ دور وطن سے لٹے نہ دور وطن سے ہمارے دل کا قرار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار ہاں ایک پھول تو ایسا ہے جو کھلا بھی نہیں نہ پائے پانی تو کر سکتا وہ گلا بھی نہیں وہ جس کے دین سے آتی وہ جس کے دین سے آتی ہے دودھ کی مہکار سلام نام روزے سلام ماں کے مزار سلام نانا کے روزے سلام ماں کے مزار یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین صلو علی محمد و آل محمد اللہم صل Inshallah, the adhan will be given in a minute, inshallah, and then we'll offer salat at its prime time, and then followed after the salat will be the ziyarat ashura. Inshallah, I request my young brothers and sisters just to help lay out the prayer mats on either sides, inshallah, on each sides, so that we can offer salat, inshallah. Another just a reminder for those inshallah, as we have nightly recitations for Soul, Salam, Marfiya, Nawha, and Ziyarat Ashura. Again, there's no fixed language as you saw, there's no language barrier or no constraint in that manner. There's a sign-up sheet right beside the door, inshallah, if you're able to recite in English, Arabic, Urdu, Farsi, any language that you would like, inshallah, you can register your name and recite in these. Let us know, or you can also send an email on KWCA events, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah.